This is WEBurlesque.
Hi, this is Bebe Sanchez.
This is Zephyr.
Hey, this is Dick Jones.
This is Trey DeMarc.
Hi, I'm Poppy LaFay, the fairy that wants to steal your heart, and you're listening to WEBurlesque Season 10.
This is WEBurlesque, the podcast, and I am your host, Viktor Devonne, and through the miracle of fiber optics, I get to talk to nightlife individuals in the field of drag, burlesque, and cabaret. Today is no exception, everyone. I have Bebe Demure. Hello, hello.
Hi.
So nice to see you.
Yeah,
How
you
are you?
too. I'm doing great. I'm happy to be back again and again and again.
And again and again. So for folks who are uninitiated, first of all, how dare you? And second of all, Bebe has been a necessary force in several conversations on the WEView, which is the panel discussion show that I produce but do not participate in. It's a good opportunity for a lot of other voices to talk about things as they are. And you were a very crucial element of the FilAm Takeover that Curly Bright brought up into both of our ears. What was that
Yeah,
experience like talking about your culture and in burlesque?
that was healing because when I first became part of the burlesque community and industry, I was the only person of color in my community here locally. And then when I started connecting with other Filipino performers, there's still so few of us, but then we started finding more and more of us. So then when Curly approached me about this podcast, it was, just another chance for us to come together and celebrate us as a people within our art form, which is so beautiful because we talk about it on the podcast about how there is shame with our bodies and what we do, and that's just a trickle down from colonialism and the way that we have really just been rebels in
Mm,
ourselves and in a way of really reclaiming that, but then combining it with our culture unapologetically
mhm.
and really connecting over that. So it was really special.
Well, we also, as a white people in this country, tend to sort of combine all of Asian experiences as just one Asian conglomerate. So very frequently, we also do this with Black individuals as well, because guess what, folks? Not all Black people come from Africa. and and then when you start referring to like Chiwetel Ejiofor or Rihanna as African Americans, you're sort of missing the point. So do you feel that as someone who is Asian but is in specifically the realm of Filipino, which itself is not a monolith, that you're contending with a lot of different, not only expectations of yourself, but that projected, that you're sort of, oh no, there's individuality too.
Absolutely. I
Mm,
mean, even when I enter a space that is geared towards Asian folks,
mm,
I am almost expecting to run into a lot of people that are going to, I guess, know more about the, I guess, more accepted traditional, like what Western culture is more known to about Asian cultures.
mm,
And just because a lot of Filipinos don't really connect with the Eastern Asian cultures.
mm,
We don't really because we are very different from them. And so like I remember I felt pressured to really get into anime and like stuff like that. So it was a divergence for me to just be like, I can like anime if I want to. So like there are a few animes that I do like, but it wasn't a pressure on me to. But then yes, like I do get asked like when I get approached and they see that I'm Asian, they're like, "Oh, what animes do you like?" Like, hmm,
Hmm.
I I do like animes, but like I that's really annoying that that's like, that has to be the conversation starter for you.
That actually is because you're a geek. It's not because you're Asian. Like it's
Okay, well then clock it.
yeah, I could see that being, uh that's a it's so funny because again it's the idea is that's well intended, but it's also so condescending at the same time as well. So is there I guess, what would you say is sort of the hmm since so much of American culture when we think of Asian is Japan, is China, and now we're starting to get more due to K-pop and certain cultural elements
hmm
starting to acknowledge others.
hmm
The relationship that the Philippines has with America is I don't think we really know a whole lot about it. Are you a first generation? Are you second generation? When did your family come here?
Yeah, so I'm first generation.
Okay.
Uh, my parents moved here in the 80s. And I the the relationship between the Philippines and the US is very complicated.
We knew that.
Because right, right. And because a lot of it still is surprising to me, but also at the same time not that a lot of people don't know that the Philippines was once part of the US, like it was a US territory. And um I think it was 1946 that it was that they gave them independence, and they purposefully gave them independence on July 4th
Hmm.
so that they would have the same Independence Day as the United States. And that's why it's complicated because it was so purposefully intertwined with the United States history and um, nationalism. So there's still, I mean, my mom told me that still to this day, there is argument about what the true Philippine Independence Day is because years later, after that, they changed the Philippine Independence Day to June 12th. So it's coming up. And but there's still some people that say no, it's July 4th. And
Why? What's the distinction of June 12th?
so
Do you
June
know?
12th, that was when they it has something to do with the Philippine Revolutionary War,
Okay,
like back in the 1900s, like early 1900s.
got it.
Yeah. So with the first Philippine president, like the very, very first one. Um, so
From the
they went,
Spanish colonial rule.
yes,
Yes, got it.
yes.
Yes, 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 yes.
So they wanted to honor that. And like I said, my mom, said that there's still argument among Filipino people,
Mm.
which is the true Philippine Independence Day. And I understand that. And and this is really where my whole decolonization journey started because I was like, who are the Filipino people? Because for the longest time, pretty much since the Spanish arrived, we've just been a amalgamation of different cultures, and we've lost so much of the indigenous culture because of it. So are we really, just a mishmash of the result of a different mishmash of different colonizers
Mm.
and just made the best of it? Or are we are we like a people that are lost and trying to find our way back, you know?
Hmm.
It's interesting.
Yeah.
And
Maybe that floats into the diaspora of it all, right? It's sort of figuring
hmm
out your roots and your identity without the focus of the white lens, frankly. Because even to be
mm,
granted, and folks, I'm using air quotes, independence is such a fucked up move. Is such a
right, right. And that's why when I found out that they did it on 4th of July, and I was like, oh, of course you did.
of course, of course, of course. Ah, so when your parents moved here, did they instill in you sort of like the American dream kind of concept, or sort of like you can be anybody, this is why we're here, to sort of uh to not amalgamate, what's the to assimilate?
Yes and no.
Okay.
They very much were doing the uh like you can like we believe in you, you can do anything. Like
Hmm.
they enrolled me in ballet classes at the age of 3 because I showed early interest in that. And at the same time, and I'm pretty sure I mentioned this in the FilAm Takeover podcast episodes, that there was a confusion at a young age for me when I came home, talking about my days at school, and their response was, "You're acting so American." Like that was a bad thing.
Hmm.
You moved here
Hmm.
and you're raising your family here. And while they were sharing, their Filipino culture with me still at home and instilling that culture in me, I'm going out and living my life in the United States. Like there's that culture also that I am living and moving through daily. So I'm
It's just
getting all
ingrained,
of it.
yeah.
Right. I'm getting
Yeah.
all of it. So that's why it was a battle at a very early age for me to understand what it meant to be Filipino American, to be both. And I had to forgive myself for not embracing that, but also forgiving
Mm.
my parents because they tried their best to understand what they had to let they had to let go certain things that they didn't understand either, that didn't completely align with their, I guess, Filipino values, and which is why they responded that way.
Hmm. Did you
Yeah.
feel you grew up somewhat conservative?
Yeah. They they're very Catholic
Mm.
and we love that religious trauma. Um, I went through a year of Catholic school and I I was just not having any of it. I wasn't fucking with any of it.
Mhm.
I was a punk kid growing up and I just was always wanting to go against the authority. But then the funny part is because of my conservative upbringing, there was always that like little bit of suppression where I was like, oh, but like I don't want to get in too much trouble. Like I understood, I guess that balance, I guess, kind of
Yeah.
where I can do the work but not put myself in harm.
Mm. Mm. What was the harm? What did you think it was? Did you have any like influence into, if you behave this way, I don't know, they'll take away your jump rope and you'll get sent away to a boarding school, or that the bad people will come? What was the threat? Do you remember?
Mm, for me, it was, I already like grew up, like I said, in a strict household to where I really didn't have a social life and all
Mm.
my time was spent at the dance studio. So for me, it was like if I couldn't, if there was a block in my path towards my dreams, then that was the threat for me.
Mm.
So I
Was
guess like,
was hellfire a concern too? Was there a
oh
sort of,
no.
oh no.
Oh no, I was not worried about that. I already knew that like I was I was going to hell. Like I was, yeah. And I already had, I guess, come to terms with I didn't believe in the whole like moral system of Christianity. I was like, I know that what my beliefs are to be a good person. I don't
Mm.
need some threat of some person or like entity in the sky to threaten me with hellfire
Yeah.
to scare me.
Yeah, I was raised very progressive Christian. So while I still had a lot of the same sort of rituals instilled in some like in part of the daily life, my father was a minister, but he's very Unitarian in his thinking. Very, I grew up United Church of Christ, which is very left of Christianity. But I also went to Catholic school from sixth grade through high school. And so I always sort of felt like I was sort of fighting my progressive notions of you don't need faith to be a good person. You can still get around like to a certain populace where I felt, oh, they think all like the natives that they don't instill with the Bible are going to hell. Like there still is like this sort of white savior sort of complex.
Hmm.
But I still, had to dabble with as a white guy living in the United States, particularly as my family were also interested in social justice, and my mother's an immigration attorney who helped people stay and get asylum. So a lot of when I was learning about people coming here, a lot of people, refugees or people coming to the United States, a lot of it was rooted in trauma. It was people like running away from things. And that is still a sort of white savior mentality to sort of
Hmm.
say, and we have to help them do that. When there's another notion of why are we keeping people out? Like,
Yeah.
why are we gatekeeping liberty when this is supposed to be this country of dreams and all of that? So the notion of that to me was really fractured early on. And religion being used to weaponize against folks, I saw very early on, not just because of my queerness, but because I saw bad people doing things and justifying it by being Jerry Falwell, by being,
Hmm.
um, just opportunists. And I didn't
Yeah.
believe it. Yeah, I didn't love it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm,
And I see that trickle down into the Filipino people so much
mm,
because, hear the I hear Filipinos say, well, my family got here the right way.
mm, mhm.
So, regarding the immigration issue right now. And that hurts my heart because again, you were an immigrant saying that about your fellow people and other immigrants. And when at the root of it, this administration and their supporters don't want you here either.
Yeah.
So, and it's really hard to hear them say that. And I almost don't know what is going to take to get that, thinking out of their heads, especially when it is ingrained with the backing of like religion and stuff like that. So it's scary.
It is, and it's frustrating also to assume that sometimes people have to go through the worst thing for them to then change their mind,
Oh
when
yeah.
we would prefer that not to be the reason for
Hmm.
people to change their minds. Like it shouldn't
Hmm.
have to affect you directly.
Right.
You shouldn't need to. I mean, I already like it squicks in my neck when somebody says that's, you have to think of them as someone's daughter, as your mother, as you're like, you can also just think of them as people
as a
on their
person.
own,
Right.
not related to you. Like,
Right.
but to have qualified empathy is such a, it's so depressing. It's such
Uh-huh.
it's such a depressing notion.
I know. I know. I knew from like an early age that I was some like level of empath because
Mm.
like I would stay this is like really vulnerable for me to say this, but like I would stay up like late hours of the night in high school, like at 2 a.m., just like thinking about all the people suffering in the world and just like crying about it. And like again, these are people like you said, like I don't have to think about them as being like my sister, my friends. Like I just was like, there's so much hurt in the world and like and it made me feel so small that
Mm.
I couldn't do anything about it,
Yeah.
you know? And it's like and there are and then there are people like just out here trolling on the internet. And I'm just like, you and that's why I it's so easy for me to not argue with them.
Mm.
And I think because I am just like, there are bigger problems out there.
There are. There are. I
Yeah.
know. I get stuck. I get stuck every now and again, and I know that some of it's also performative because I want people to also see that I don't agree with them, and that's more important sometimes than it shouldn't be more important.
I will say, there are times where it's more so for, especially like when it's like like on a public thread or something, where it's like there is an education element to this. Like
Mm.
if I am saying something that is has educational purposes, this is more so for anybody else that stumbles across it and
Yes.
could
Yes.
possibly learn something from it and hopefully maybe it might not change their mind, but hopefully it'll stick with them and, add to their layers of learning down the road, then sure, I'm gonna clap back a little bit.
Yeah. At least to let people know that there is resistance in that regard. There are people who are saying, no, actually, no. Like,
Right.
I feel it's so depressing to see like a long, long list of everyone being assholes and no one
Hmm.
countering. So if I can at least just say like, I don't know. Sometimes I've gotten to a real like the dismissive LOL aspect of things because sometimes that's just enough to be like, sure, guys, right?
Right. Yeah.
Um, and because again, it's never done. It's not done in with good intention. People are not actually
Mm-mm.
looking for debate. They're looking to create division or just to say shitty things, and then for you to reply, and then them asking you to debate your perspective as if they give a fuck, as if they give a
Right.
fuck.
Right.
To then just discredit it along the
I
lines.
was
And
gonna
you,
say just to shut you down.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. I remember once I was in this uh debate about funny enough,
Mm,
someone had made a post about saying they were like, burlesque isn't stripping. I don't care what you say, burlesque isn't stripping. And I was like, okay, hold on a second. And that's when I really, I went on the thread and I knew where they were coming from because I knew this person.
mm,
They were they were a club stripper.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
So they're coming from that mentality. And, I took that opportunity to say, club stripping evolved from burlesque. And like, there is no reason to be divisive about this. Like, we are all on the same, like, field. Like, they are in different environments, and you go there for different purposes, and there's different elements for in each space. But at the end of the day, we are both removing our clothes and therefore it is stripping.
What an
And
interesting perspective also, because I think a lot of people who heard you say that, as I probably interpreted it, it was them for them to argue that burlesque wasn't stripping because they were saying it was above club stripping, or that club stripping was somehow lesser than. And I had to think that, like, oh no, you're turning me up, you're turning me up. Because so often we consider burlesque to be quote classy stripping or theatrical stripping or, artful
Mhm.
stripping, partially because it does remove a lot of the sex work relationship as well
Mhm.
as the dirtiness
Right.
of all that. So please go ahead.
Yeah. No, I mean, and then, I was being very respectful in my responses, and this person was so set on like saying that, I was saying like we have a choice to, you know, this art form really was made out of choice and autonomy. And this person responded, well, then why aren't you stripping in the club? Because that's my choice. Like,
Mm,
I've done club stripping, but that's my choice. Like, I've
mhm.
I've chosen to do burlesque. I also know burlesque performers that do both.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Like, there, it's not one is worse or better or like it's like I said, it's in the same realm and they have elements of both. And they now that like they share so much now than they did before.
Hmm.
And I remember at one point this person responded to me, it's like I'm talking to a wall. And I was like, I am spitting so much fact and history at you, babes. Like,
Hmm.
I even said, okay, you must talk to really interesting walls.
Yeah. Yeah. Because a wall wouldn't reply. A wall wouldn't respond. And that's the other thing too, is that analogy is flawed from
Right,
its
right. That's why I was
because
like,
you're
okay.
looking for a counter on that one. But
Uh-huh.
yeah.
So, I mean, in the very same way that you were saying that, like, they're just looking to make someone mad or whatever. And I was not going there,
Mm,
you know? And this person was just very set in their mindset. And I knew I wasn't going to change this person's mind. It was
hmm.
more so that I was, talking about the history because for anybody else that might have also agreed with this person, I was going through and responding with, you know, what might have changed their mind, but I knew it wasn't, but it could change someone else's.
Hmm. Yeah. Well, and it's also the hope of unity and finding common ground as opposed to immediately looking for the differences in things. Obviously, club stripping, there is a customer service aspect. There still is an entertainment aspect, but
Hmm.
it's less about uh, there is a self-expression aspect as well, because of course people
Hmm.
have their signatures, people have their identities, they have
Hmm.
their agencies. However, there is also going to be an expectation that
Hmm.
you are providing a service for
Hmm.
an individual. You are not also just expressing yourself.
Hmm.
You're doing it with the expectation that you will be compensated for it. I think
Hmm.
what complicates burlesque a lot of the times is that it's both art and entertainment,
Hmm.
and that we actually struggle most with the customer service side because
Yes.
we get so, it's a word I use on the pod a lot, insular with our thinking and doing what we want to do without paying attention necessarily to what the audience will respond to, because
Yes.
we're kind of up our own
Oh,
selves
yes.
trying to
Yeah.
be something.
Oh, yeah. And, I've learned so much from street performing about like tuning into the audience
Mm,
with, uh, I feel like I've been pretty good about like the audience gauging and audience interaction, but I tell you what, street performing has really opened my eyes to what can really be missed and the potential of what can be, I guess, like elevated in really interacting with the audience, both from just performing as a cast member the in a burlesque show and also like as a host because I also
Hmm.
host.
Hmm.
So yeah,
Yeah.
it's been really exciting being brought into that world.
Nice. Hi, this is Viktor Devonne, and you're listening to WEBurlesque, the podcast, and I love you for it. I gotta tell you, this is still one of my very favorite things to do. I'm very happy, very proud, very honored that people download this and listen to me and a bunch of folks talk about why we love what we do. It's really great. It really, really is. And I want to give a special love to the patrons on patreon.com. Give it up for Melody, Devin, JaCourtney, Clara, Dottie, Charlotte, Luna, Goosey, Roxy, Faye, Tiffany, Jimmy, Curly Bright, Oliver, Sebastian, Alex, Bo, and Stormageddon. I had to take a breath there, people. It's really lovely. It really is really, really, really lovely. I think it's so difficult to dedicate time and make shit happen, but I'm working on it. I'm trying. Goodness gracious. Please know that you mean the world to me. And if you would like to support me in any other way that is not money, please follow, like, subscribe, share, comment, do those things, and I won't charge you for it. It'll get me further out there, and more importantly, it'll get these people that I bring onto this show further out there as well. So, mwah, be well, darlings. Are you a regular busker?
Yes, I am. Right now I do tarot readings, but my partner and I were working on a duo show, so yeah, like working on something with some magic elements and some sideshow. So
Nice. When did
yeah.
your interest in the cards begin?
I started reading for myself about like 10-ish years ago, and then I started reading for my friends, and they were like, "You're really good at this." And I was like, I mean, I guess so. Like, and I thought I was only good at it because they're my friends. Like maybe I just know them.
Mm. Hmm.
Like there was a bias there or something.
Hmm.
So I challenged myself to, start reading for strangers. And I tell you what, like I do get chills sometimes with some of the interactions that I have busking and really reading for strangers. It's really special. I'll be out on a busy street and there's this really intimate moment on my table when someone just walks by and they're like, "Can I get a reading?" And it's this quiet moment. And I always tell people, like, you don't have to tell me anything you don't want to. And the stuff that people have really opened up to me about is I don't take it for granted
Hmm.
because the thing about busking is that, and this is what makes it so different than like a ticketed theater show that we do. And that's why I really, really have um, a newfound love for the street theater and appreciation for the art form is that the the person sitting in my chair, they're not chained to the chair. They can get up whenever they want, whether they paid or not.
Hmm.
Same for any person that has stopped to watch a circle show. They could stay there for 5 minutes and they're like, I'm not into this. I'm on my way to dinner anyway and can walk away. But someone that has stood there for 30 minutes, really appreciated the show and the entertainment, they're gonna throw $20 in the hat. Even if and the person next to them, they stood there for the same amount of time and maybe all they have is $5, they're still gonna throw that in the hat because they really enjoyed the show. Like that is something that we in the theaters, like we know that's a guaranteed audience for every person that bought the ticket. And drawing a raw crowd, it is tough. And when I've seen what I've seen from the talent from a lot of the performers that I've met, just drawing a crowd from nothing, what seems like nothing, is beautiful. It is beautiful.
Hmm. Are you one of the few game in town, or is there like a court area where a lot of street performers and folk hang
So,
out?
um, my partner, he was the only one for a while, and he's kind of inspired a bunch of others in the area to start. And there's a really nice plaza where I live downtown that's great for setting up. And now we've got like a magician, another magician because he does magic, and a typewriter poet that does poetry on demand, and um, we've got a balloon artist and caricature artists and a couple musicians. So it's nice that, it brings an area to a public space to life.
Yeah.
And um, when you really don't appreciate it until you're walking through a space and you're just trying to get from one destination to another,
Mm.
and you keep your head down, and then when something catches your eye and it kind of just like it's like the like metro equivalent to like stopping and smelling the flowers. Like
Yeah. It seems like such an antiquated concept, although we see street performers all the time, particularly musicians, things like that.
hmm
Um, but like the idea of like living statues or mimes or
hmm
it seems so French, seems so European.
hmm
And so last week I was in Las Vegas for the Burlesque Hall of Fame weekender, and it was off
hmm
Fremont Street, which is all it's
Oh
it's
yeah.
it's just a walk of folks getting your attention.
hmm
And I guess probably the closest to would that would be maybe like an old time boardwalk, you would imagine, or
hmm
like but it's such a cool feeling. Like it feels, I mean, I understand if people feel that it's, hedonistic because a lot of it's very sexualized. It's all of the Chippendale boys are there. You got girls in leather. You got, folks doing stuff. It's not a family friendly event, and I'm okay with that. I'm fine with
Right.
that. Let them go to Times Square if they want that.
Right. I'm
But
like, you're in Vegas, babes.
yeah, I like it. I thought it was really cool. I thought it was really
Yeah.
cool. Have you been in a place like that to see just that sort of revelry?
Uh, I mean, I was in Sin City Burlesque Festival a couple of years ago now.
Mm,
Um, and so I wanted to go check out Fremont Street because my partner told me that that's where the buskers are.
yeah.
And I I mean, it was a busy weekend for me, so I didn't get to check out much, but I'm glad to hear that's what it's like. It's
Oh, it was lovely. It was
ah,
lovely. I mean, people and
amazing.
people are working. People are working for those pictures with each other, for the tips, for like like they are
Amazing.
gunning for it. And I was
Oh
like, you know
yeah.
what? I would rather, give $20 to like the naked cowboy doing his thing than, some corporate guy over here who is
Yeah.
saying, so, it felt like I was a philanthropist
Ah,
giving
amazing.
shirtless men money. So
Yeah. Love it. Yeah. It's a good time. And
yeah.
it's 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 interesting too because I also almost equate it to like scrolling on your TikTok feed. It's
Mm,
like what's gonna make me stop and get my attention. But that's also another reason that now that I'm talking with the street performers,
sure.
they're also like, what is gonna, because attention is such an issue because of social media, they're like, we have to work harder at keeping, grabbing their attention and keeping their attention. And that is something that I'm also keeping in my conversation with them as far as like our work, because I understand that is about, you know, the uh the anticipation, that
Mhm.
makes, burlesque exciting. And especially when you're seeing, I've heard this commentary about a burlesque show before where it's like, it's all the same. You're just watching stripping and over again. I'm like, well, first of all, I would say that producer probably booked too many of the same looking acts. Add a little more variety.
Mhm.
That's my one critique then. Second of all, then, you know, there needs to be more dynamic, there needs to uh the element of surprise and what can be unexpected to reel them back in, reel their attention back in. And these are
Right.
things that I'm I'm taking notes from these street performers.
Well, I mean, the improvisation aspect alone is crucial because to be able to even doing the exact same act with the exact same perceived choreography and the exact outfit, if you're doing that in front of different audiences and you hear responses or you see responses that are different show to show or or occasion to occasion, that in theory will give you a way of knowing how to then further proceed.
Hmm.
That improvisation, it doesn't have to be verbal. It doesn't actually even have to change um exactly what you're doing, but it will change your intention. And I find that to
Absolutely.
be necessary in live theater because otherwise then it becomes static. Then there is, and I frequently perform where there is a fourth wall. I look past the audience because that's sometimes my vibe,
Hmm.
where my act is sort of in spite of an audience. But if I'm working with an audience, I gotta pay attention to what they're responding to.
Right. Yeah. Yeah,
And if you're a street
totally.
performer, you're doing that on a very literal level.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll say one of my favorite things that I've learned about street theater is that there's this thing called firing the audience that we don't have the privilege of doing. Like
Yes.
if they're if their audience sucks, like if they're just not responding to like their jokes or like clapping or anything, they're just like, yeah, like they'll cut their show short. They'll just be like, and that's it. Like, goodbye. Like, you can give me tips. And like, even if it wasn't their whole show. And I know that we've all had shows where we're just like, come on, guys, like, we need some energy. Like, give me some claps. And I'm like, I wish I could fire some of the audiences that I've had because like like you said, the the way that we respond
Mm.
to the audience's energy and like the way that they're giving us, it's such an exchange. There is an exchange. And that is something that I think sometimes the audience doesn't realize. And maybe it's getting, I feel so old when I say this, like it's the damn social media, it's the phones, like because when you're just sitting there on the screen, it's like there is no exchange unless it's like a double click heart. Like there's
And you don't even have to pay attention really to do that. You can just acknowledge that it's there and flip
Mhm,
as you go. Yeah.
mhm.
Which more people should do for your friends. If you follow other burlesque people and you don't just keep liking their shit as you scroll.
I say I will say maybe this is no, I'm gonna say it.
Okay.
Sometimes I will go through and like I don't even watch the whole reel. I just
Yeah,
like
that's fine.
because it's like I want you to get your engagement, babes. So if you see me
Yes.
like your stuff, sorry that I might have not watched the whole reel, but I liked it because I want you to have your likes. So
Mhm.
love you
I
guys.
I would love that. I think that actually if it's any indication, because if we're all so in the dark about our algorithm and about our reach, a heart means it did show up
Yeah,
too. It's proof of life. And as
facts.
sad as that is to commodify what we do, that's where we're at.
No,
We're using these tools. Let's use the tools.
it's facts. The especially with the way that Meta is cracking down on Instagram, it's getting bad.
Hmm.
It's getting bad.
Hmm.
Like I have friends that are like OnlyFans creators and they are doing sweeps on the daily, just shutting down Instagram pages that have thousands and thousands of followers and they don't give a fuck.
Nope.
Yep.
Nope. Well, because
So,
at that point, they're mad that they're not making money off those thousands of people.
right.
So it's no skin off them if they say, well, then that creator goes away.
Hmm.
Those thousands of people are only helping that person.
Hmm.
So yeah,
Yeah.
I I get frustrated because I know, and I would like to improve civilization a little bit, and yet I participate in it. It's that whole comic where I'm just sort of like, but I would like things to get better too. So I engage in a lot of social media. I don't TikTok. I was very reticent to it. I had it for a little bit. I just kept forgetting to go. And a lot of things kept getting repeated anyway, so they would get shared then on Facebook or then on,
Hmm.
it being its own thing was annoying.
Sure.
So it wasn't a big loss to when I finally said, I don't ever open this. I'm gonna offload it. But I needed to at least get the accounts. I needed to at least get the usernames so that those existed. That was one thing. But since I engage so frequently in Instagram and Meta, which I know are data mining, which I know are part of the problem, but I have to engage with part of the problem and use it the way that I can.
Hmm.
Um, I would really love if we went back to message boards. I really would love if we went back to like the old school style, like UBBL, like
Uh,
that you log in and you have conversations in this way. I know they still
yeah.
exist for some folks,
Yeah, like
but I know
forums and
Discord is
stuff.
very, yes, I miss a forum. I
I
miss a
I
forum.
I love a forum. Oh my gosh. I
I
stayed on
used to live
forums.
in my the late 90s through mid 2000s. I lived on forums.
Yeah, me
Uh,
too. The best was when you
and
found like a very specific niche forum just for your people. Like
mhm.
I
Oh, I
was a
lived on a
huge
Tori Amos forum. That's where I went.
I was just about to say I was a huge Panic at the Disco fan. So like I was on a Panic at the Disco like specific forum like every
Hmm.
day. And I found
Hmm.
my people. I tell you what, I'm still friends with people off of that forum to this
Yeah,
day
yeah. I have
because
friends
we
that I have through
we
Live Journal with similars.
we bonded.
Hmm.
And you don't
Yeah.
break those kinds of bonds. And like I just the way that we don't we don't make those same kinds of connections through the scrolling, like the mindless, the brain rot,
Hmm.
the doom scrolling.
Yeah.
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 I
And
was
sometimes
about
I
to
think, yeah,
suggest, oh,
please.
sorry. I was about to suggest like Discord, and I know you had said that, but like I feel like it doesn't have the same
It's not the same. And I don't
feel.
trust them. I don't trust them. Ever since they came out after the Charlie Kirk assassination, they freely gave information about one of their users to the police. I'm like, oh, I don't trust that.
Oh, ew. I didn't hear
I
about
don't like
that.
it. Yeah,
Ew, I
I
don't
don't
like
like
that
it.
either.
I don't like it.
Ew.
And it was real quick, and I don't know the legitimacy of it, but they didn't distance themselves enough for my comfort. And my husband doesn't really care for it. He's in academia. And he knows students that use it and everything. I'm like, yeah, I don't know. I'm waiting for like a true crime episode on also part of the problem with Netflix to say like I don't know like the Discord murders. Like I'm waiting for something. Like I'm just
Yeah.
waiting. Yeah.
Ew. Yeah.
Mm.
Okay. I didn't hear about that, but
I mean, your
I
mileage will vary, and we're all picking billionaires. So until we start picking them off, I don't really know what else we
no,
do.
really,
Like I
no,
don't,
really
yeah.
though. Like I did my best to, I canceled Amazon Prime. I canceled my Netflix. I had every streaming service and like I still order from Amazon when I need something quick, but I have to pay shipping now because I don't have Amazon Prime.
Right.
But I refuse to get it to subscribe to Bezos. Like, I'm not going to.
Yeah.
And it's just it's difficult.
Hmm.
They've cornered us.
Yes. Yes. And I was talking to another friend about, so I do a Murder She Wrote podcast called Tonight on Murder She Wrote. Check it out, folks. And what my co-host Petra and I do is we go on Zoom and we put it on my screen and we screen share and we just talk about while we talk for each episode. And it just left Tubi. And that was so frustrating to me when a global phenomenon, even after 40 years, is like Murder, She Wrote is off Tubi and is not available somewhere right now. That frustrates me because what will happen, then people will be like, oh, you should have gotten should have gotten on physical media. Oh, you should have. I'm like, yes, but that is still the privilege. That is still
Yeah,
you. Like, when was the last time you bought a laptop that had a DVD drive? They have
right.
moved us into this direction. And the reason that I can do that and now own it on DVD because I need to be able to continue my series with this. That shouldn't, that I want people to also access it. This is something that I really care about and I think is still really good work and really good art and really good entertainment. You're making it hard for people to consume it. All you're going to do is get a bunch of pirates. All you're
Yep.
doing is sending people to Pirates Bay. That's all you're doing.
Right.
It shouldn't be that difficult. It drives me
No.
crazy. It drives me
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah.
And that's like, like a major CBS production. Imagine like the smaller level productions are
Hmm.
the ones that are really like really affect people on a really ground level. People who are still living and still working on that. Like
Right.
so depressing.
And when and and when you read the fine print, like if you actually buy a movie or a show downloaded off of Amazon or Apple TV, whatever, and you download it, you don't own it.
No, you don't.
You don't own it. They can take it back whenever they want.
Hmm. Hmm. And you
That
know
includes,
where we learned that from was the gamers because people were
I was just saying
noticing.
they include it, that includes games. I was just about to say it includes the
Yep.
video games.
They were the first people I think to really break that out because they were like, I thought I owned this because I don't. Nope,
Nope.
nope. EA will screw you over if they feel like it. Like it's
Mm-hmm.
just yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm. And
Yep.
that includes patches, that includes updates, that includes anything.
Uh-huh.
And it's so like, oh no, this should be just like a physical thing out of the box that just lives like that. Nope,
No,
no.
no.
So I find that so frustrating, especially when it is like, I just want to enjoy something. I just
Mm.
want to like, I I should have access to Alexandria's library, whenever the hell I want. If you're gonna realize the fact that we have data centers sucking up our water, at least put all of Warner Brothers in one place. Like, give me
Right.
something.
Right. And that's the other thing that they're really cornering us on is the
Yeah,
data. Is the
yeah.
data. Because if you don't know, like with them all, making all these data centers, the AI companies are also really they're buying up all the data. Like even like all the cloud services, all the cloud data, they're buying that up, which is jacking up the prices of the external
Hmm.
hardware prices. So, like if you need your to back up your data, like back up your your axe on external
Hmm.
hardware, like better go get it now before those
Get
prices
a
go up.
brick. Yep.
Yep,
Yeah.
because the AI companies are owning the cloud data, and I'd rather have it on physical than lost somewhere in the cloud.
Right. And I also feel like I have so many digital files on my computer, on bricks, on
I'm
externals
sure
and
you
everything.
do.
And I'm like, when was the last time I looked in there? Like I feel like when it's not immediately in front of me, I forget to enjoy that thing.
Oh, I hate it. I
It's
hate
so
it. I
yeah.
hate it. And this
Ugh.
whole idea of like scaling down, like I understand, like I don't want to have, I don't want to be a hoarder either. But
Mm.
like this,
Minimalizing. Yeah.
hmm hmm
Well, we seem to be at a maxing culture right now, so I feel like at least that's we seem to, we're showing that we're excessive. But yes, I feel you. I feel you.
Yeah,
I don't get it.
I know. Have you seen those cyber decks?
Mm-mm, what is that?
Like people are making computers, like little tiny computers from like they're learning coding and building like cute little computers out of broken down like like calculators or like digital
Mm,
cameras or like laptops. They're like breaking out like the chips in there and building it and then learning how to code. Like someone built a an MP3 player, coded it, and put it in this cute little like ammonite shell. Like
mm,
it's so like customizable.
mm,
And like this is like also so like post-apocalyptic where it's like, okay, learn how to do this when we don't
I know.
have like we're just like breaking apart.
Tank Girl right there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
I,
know.
it's very cool. And
Yeah.
I love that everyone it's mostly women that I'm seeing do this, which is amazing. It's like women learning how to code and just like making these cute little devices. Like it's like a Polly Pocket thing. And they're just making it so girly and femme and just like, look at this
Oh,
little thing that I learned how to code and this like little
ooh,
keyboard.
I like it.
And yeah, I do love the internet for that. You know,
Mm,
they never would have like someone that might have never thought that they would have coded in their life saw something
mm,
come across their feed and it inspired them to try it out.
mm.
I do like the internet for that, you know, making the conversation come back full circle.
Yeah, yeah. In terms of your stage work and your stage persona and where you developed all of that, when did your life as an artist or entertainer begin? Not just as an artist, but as an entertainer begin.
As an entertainer, you know, I had mentioned earlier I started ballet at the age of 3,
Mhm.
and you know, that's where I really believe I started as an artist, really.
Mhm.
Like I knew that I was meant to be a performer. Like I had my life path set for me. I just knew. And because I'm not cookie cutter ballerina like body type, I
Mm,
already knew that I had to make my own path somehow. And as I was like leaving high school, I had to figure out what that path was. So I was like, could I be a Broadway dancer? Could I work on a cruise line? Could I go into commercial dance? You know, I was opening up my possibilities, even though I wanted to be a classical ballet dancer so badly. I did make it to a ballet company for a couple of years. I was a trainee with Rich and Ballet for 2 years, and I got injured. It wasn't a career-ending injury, obviously, but it had me sitting on my ass, like thinking, like, okay, I'm not in the ballet company. Now I have to pivot again. Maybe I have to think about those other options that I was thinking about before. And, you know, the stage was calling. I had heard about burlesque while I was in Richmond from my cousin Saffron.
yes.
And
Saffron, who appeared on the WeView, one of the
hmm
elements. Yeah.
hmm and I, you know, I went for it. There was a local burlesque production here, and but before that, actually, when I was in Richmond, I had entered nightlife as a go-go dancer. So I was my my introduction to nightlife was as a go-go dancer. My first time at a gay club was as a go-go dancer.
Yeah.
So my first experience in a gay club was as the entertainment.
Uh-huh.
So it was really it was like my a lot happened for me that year
Mm.
because that was also when I really accepted myself as being bi. Like before that I was doing the whole thing of saying like I think girls are pretty, but I'm not like I don't like them like that. And when I was when I was working in queer nightlife, it really does when they say that when you're surrounded by people like you and
Mm.
that accept you for who you are,
Mm.
it really does make a difference.
Yeah.
It does. And I was like, yeah, I like girls.
Yeah.
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 Was
Um,
this essentially a co-ed gay club that you were that was marketing to both, or were you mostly
yes.
working with? Okay.
hmm And I was I was like dancing up on the VIP like the box like next to the VIP booth and uh while it was co-ed like it was open to
Everybody.
everyone. I I never made as much tips as the male dancers.
Well,
I know. I know. But it was really cool, you know. Like I said, it was my introduction to nightlife and I got to I was also I had gotten into EDM
Mm.
and I got to dance for an EDM vocalist that performed at the nightclub, Winter Gordon, who like I was a fan of like a couple of her songs and I was like, "Oh shit, she's performing and I get to dance for her." It was cool. You know, I was like, this is something that I could really get into and then I got into burlesque and it's really opened up more opportunities for me as far as entertainment and the way that I can showcase my talent and the skills that I have and the technique that I have and confidence in my, I guess, years of experience on stage too. And something that I felt like I relied on a little bit too much, I will say, when I first entered burlesque, I was like, okay, like I have a lot of experience in ballet. Like I got this. I'll be really good at this. And I will say that like talking to other people that have ballet backgrounds, theater backgrounds, I get this feeling from them too, especially if they're new to burlesque. They're like, I got this, you know, like it's gonna be easy for me almost. I I was so humbled. I will say I was so
Mm.
humbled. You know, we are self-made artists.
Mm.
Like we do everything ourselves and it is both uh difficult but rewarding at the same time. You know, it's creating our art from an idea, from a concept, you know, and getting to share that with the world. So, you know, I was so spoiled in the ballet company having a costume department and a choreographer and several rehearsals in studio and a theater week. And so, like, I remember my debut show. I
Mm.
asked the producer, I was like, so do we get like a theater or like do we get a theater rehearsal? And she was like, no, you kind of just like I mean, you can run through your number a little bit like when you get to the theater, but no, not really. I was like, oh, okay.
But when's the final dress? I don't understand.
Right, right. And that's when that was really like the cherry on top of really in a different industry
Mm. Yeah.
because at that point, you know, like I said, it was my debut show. Like I had built my costume, I'd done my whole choreography. Like I knew this was all me, and I was confident in that. But then coming into the space of we're all like, I don't want to say on the same level playing ground because like sure
We're
we
equalized to a certain degree. Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
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 Where when I walk into that dressing room, you if it's like you don't know that I have t like 15 years of ballet background behind me, you know?
Mhm.
Because it's almost like that doesn't matter. Like when
Right.
we're all showing up here to share the same art form, you know? And that's almost it's special in a way.
It's like your secret weapon. It really
Yeah.
is. It's sort of like what it, because it will help inform how you will perform and hopefully also inform how you will behave backstage and interact with people because you already have a company mentality. So
Yeah.
you already know the kind of personalities that you might intercom or might become.
Hmm.
Um, and you also hopefully have a work ethic as well
Hmm.
because it is sometimes a grind in not the fun
Hmm.
way.
Hmm.
Um, but
I will say that I've helped others that when they've asked me about how my ballet background has helped me move through this space where they don't have that kind of background.
mm,
And and that's definitely one of them. Like the the theater etiquette and um the discipline when it's like show day.
the
And
reverence, frankly. I mean, it's
mhm,
really just like it's not a party. It's not a
yeah.
party. We have a responsibility both to ourselves and to the audience. And if we're messy, someone can get hurt or someone
Mhm,
might do something that they shouldn't do. There's a lot of consent stuff you got to pay attention to, like all of that. Yeah,
mhm,
it's real. It's real.
yeah.
Hey, this is Viktor Devonne, and I like socks. I've always been very open about my appreciation for the fabric that goes on my feet, and I want you to enjoy them too. Please go to footclothes.com, look at the variety of fabulous novelty socks that do not suck, and indulge. You can get 10% off now with the name Viktor Devonne as a promo code. That's VIKTORDEVONNE. Put it all together, no spaces, and enjoy.
Tonight on Murder, She Wrote.
Hooray!
It's
Yeah,
kind of Piper Laurie and Brenda Vaccaro at A Love Child.
thank goodness.
I want to know
These
her.
nails. Yeah, where's her series? That's what I
She's
want.
fabulous.
The son is Joaquin Phoenix.
I know, isn't that nuts? And he is an ugly little kid. I'm sorry.
We're just like, hey, remember when this guy was in this obscure Broadway show in 1976?
Right? Look at him in those tight pants. Yum.
Well, because there's not
But
a
we
lot
do
really
get-
going on. It's
Yeah.
supposed I mean, unless you're listening to the dialogue, which frankly, audience at home, you can do without us. We're just
Yeah, do
learning
your own
about
work,
some of these
damn it.
backstory. But
Right.
Boswell put her up to it.
Yeah.
And then Trish had to be killed because she realized that Boswell didn't have her interests at heart because Teddy was the inheritor.
Yeah.
Playing her like a fiddle.
Oswell knew it, and Trish just gulped it down like one of those martinis.
And then tossed it onto the in-law.
And then lost her head. Poor Trish.
Trish loses her head. This is Viktor Devonne,
And this is Petra Fried
and this is Tonight.
on Murder, She Wrote.
What was the first act? May I ask? Do you remember?
It was a Halloween show that I
Oh,
debuted at, and I did a Grim Reaper act, and I still perform it to this day. It is set to Beyonce's cover of Fever.
okay.
Yeah. And I do like I paint my face like the whole skull makeup, and it's very fussy.
Ooh.
Yeah. And it was um I think the best feedback that I got was from my cousin Saffron was like, this is still very burlesque, but it's unexpected that like you're coming out here in like this like Grim Reaper thing and then you're doing Fosse.
I love it.
And I'm
I
like,
love juxtaposition in burlesque. Love it.
yeah, and I'm like, okay, I thought this was like this was done, but okay, cool.
You're just
Like I
following the
said,
cues in your head. Yeah.
right. And that's when she was like, "Oh, you're gonna do great. You're gonna be great." And like I said, I still perform it to this day because it is it's still very um true to me. And like I know a lot of people don't perform their first act, but it means a lot to me. And um what was it? Last year or the year before, I upgraded or revamped the costume since the first time I performed it, and that was really exciting for me. Yeah.
Hmm. What is your style usually? How would you explain what type of burlesque or what your the thrust of what you put acts together in?
I so my tagline is the tease of the Twilight Zone. Yes, it is a reference to the TV show, um, because I love the TV show and Rod Serling is daddy.
Oh.
And but I I took that as inspiration because it's almost like every actor you're going to see is different, but it is rooted in a uh, a structure, and I guess that structure is my ballet technique and my poise and confidence on the stage. But then there
Mm,
is some twist, some kind of unexpectedness, some surprise
mm,
element, like like the skull makeup or like um you know the lately I will say lately I've been leaning more into comedy, some comedic element where I have not been very confident in that. I never thought of myself as a funny person, so like I'm really
mm,
challenging myself in that way. Um and like you said, the juxtaposition. I'm really leaning into that as well. So I like to call it my uh like comedy camp era where like I am making very classic burlesque silhouettes, but then having a like comedic uh like theme to it or something. So
mm,
I don't know if you've seen pictures of my Garlic Queen act.
mm,
I have an act where I am a bulb of garlic,
mm.
and that really just stems from my love of garlic. I fucking love garlic. And yeah, I peel my cloves off.
Mm.
Uh-huh. So zesty and flavorful. And yeah, so it's very again, classic burlesque silhouettes with a headpiece, with the feathers are the garlic scapes. And but it's silly and hyper exaggerated.
Yes.
Yeah, and I love it. And I feel silly doing it, but that's what makes it fun.
The art of ballet, I would not personally equate with a great deal of sensuality per se. Um, how was your, I mean, starting as a go-go dancer probably helped bridge that gap, but how was
Mm.
it being sensual or sexual or vulnerable physically on stage? How were you able to get to that pretty easily?
Yes. Honestly, yes. I will say, um, from something about like I always idolized these icons, I these sex icons. I don't know, um like Carmen Electra.
Hmm.
And I always wanted to be her, whoever the it girl was. And even if she was hypersexualized.
Mm,
And I remember the first time I ever found out about Playboy and like Playboy magazine, I was like, this is amazing. This is beautiful. Like, I would love to do this. I didn't see anything wrong with it. And so when I like found out about stripping and burlesque, I was like, hell yeah, let's fucking go. Yeah, it wasn't a jump for me.
mm,
Like internally, um, because I was already there early on. Like um, had already embraced being a woman in a world that wanted to shame women for their bodies while also sexualizing them at the same time, you know?
right. It's more fun if you're not into it though, for a lot of folks. And that's
Right,
but yeah,
right.
yeah.
Um, and it was, it was, I will say, when I first took off my bra for my debut act, I did do like a little glance down, are my pasties on? Because it was, it was like an interesting feeling to just not have anything on
Mm,
in a different space that wasn't like club stripping. It was like it was in a theater space. This
hmm.
is a space where I've done I've done like full on ballet acts. Like, you know, this is where I should be doing pirouettes and
Hmm.
doing bows and in a tutu. And it was because I could see the people up in the balcony, you know, this was different. This was a different environment. And like you said, there was a different element of customer service and energy exchange than what I had experienced in a club. And
Hmm.
um, so, yeah, it was, but you know, the rest is history. Like I couldn't, I never had been away from a stage for too long.
Hmm.
Yeah. I'm a
How
performer through and through.
how do you keep it fresh for you? Is it just the excitement of every new audience, or how do you, is there a part of you that says, I gotta mix it up a little bit to keep yourself entertained as well? Or is it for everybody just to enjoy?
I think it's just I love I always say that the stage and I've always told people that the stage and the dance studios are my happy places.
Mm,
Like that's really where, you know, when you ask the question like where's your happy place, and maybe normies will say like the beach or like taking a walk in the park or whatever,
uh,
but for me it's the stage and the dance studio, and that's where it's zen, where I can just release the the passion that I had from the very young age. like that I've really when I said that I set my life path out, this is where it's always been going on and it's still going.
Yeah,
And it's diverged into different avenues like the busking and um it's the burlesque because it was a divergence from the classical ballet, but it's still on the same route of being a performer. And it's
it's still
been
fulfilling in the same way.
absolutely, absolutely. And tickling that creativity and inspiring seeing other artists. And when I do feel like I'm getting in any kind of like rut, I it's important for me and I think in my opinion for everybody else to connect with other artists and not just within our industry. And I think that's why it's been so inspiring for me creatively to branch out to the street performers because there are different types of street performing. Like you said, there's the miming, there's juggling, there's um one of the unicycling and
For sure.
all
Any
kind.
apparatus, sword
Hmm.
swallowing, fire
Hmm.
sometimes. Yeah, all kinds of stuff. Yeah.
Hmm. So
That gets into the sideshow element too. Like a lot of that
exactly.
sort of, yeah.
Yeah. And
Mm.
there is the crossover again of like how can we make it a memorable and exciting experience for our audiences.
It's a very
And
giving perspective.
yeah.
It is. I mean, not to suggest that performers are all inherently selfish, but there is a selfish quality in performing, at least in terms of what we get from it or how we want or how it's self-expression. Self-expression is self. I mean, you're
Hmm.
putting yourself in that way, and to also be really concerned with, not worried about, but concerned
Hmm.
with how audiences will appreciate that. I think is an excellent trait, and certainly one that shows a real reverence for the form. So I think that's really cool. I think it's
Oh,
really neat.
thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. I mean, I take notice when there are people that show up over and over and over again to like my shows or,
Hmm.
you know, even more so to certain street performers shows. Like that says something. And so I I recently listened to a podcast uh talking about like memory and it's geared towards like business communication and
Mm,
but I'm like I could totally apply this to our work.
sure.
And they were saying that people only remember 10% of what you put out like in a presentation or whatever. So like that had me thinking like what is the whole message through the podcast episode is like what is your 10%? So like what is your 10% message that you're putting out there, whether it's like your social media like message like page or
Hmm.
your
Your mission,
10%.
essentially. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And I just listened to this like either yesterday or the day before, and this
Mm,
is really like having me think like as artists that are nonverbal, this is something to really contemplate and really interesting because it gets enveloped into our brand and our movement and our costuming and oh it's a lot but it's interesting and I'm gonna be like toiling over it and working through that.
yes.
And yeah, so it's it's again, so like I think like branching out and seeking knowledge outside of art too, because that wasn't an art podcast to 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 get creative with how you present yourself and express yourself and how you want to be seen
Right.
keeps things fresh for you and fresh for your audiences too. I know I keep bringing it back to like how you want, like how the audiences feel, but that's important.
Absolutely.
With no audience, there's no show.
Well, there's one of the jokes and hosting that I hear a lot is thanking the audience, because then we would just be doing this we would just be doing this at home in front of our cats and everything. There's a lot of us that would actually not be doing it at home in spite of an audience.
Mhm.
It's because there is an audience there that they have the motivation to step outside of whatever creature comforts they have at home. Like there has to be something to be said about the motivation aspect, including engagement with people, with
Yes.
that connectivity, with solidarity, with
Hmm.
commiseration, with just presenting. And that's
Hmm.
why when you mentioned that it was like a business presentation thing, I'm like, yeah, but we are presenting ourselves at every time. We are
Hmm.
putting forward and saying these, here's my PowerPoint. They're just at
Hmm.
different places. Like you
Yeah.
just are, my pie charts are just not where you thought they'd be. And that is because as you said, it's a nonverbal, and I talk about this all the time, and we're so simpatico there, is that what the song choices that we make and whatever choices we make within them, the audience is going to take as either an endorsement, a commentary, a deconstruction, an argument against or for, all of these things. And if we're good at what we do, there's some wiggle room, but the audience should get a general idea of what our perspective is if we indeed
Yes.
have a voice to
Yes.
provide.
Yes.
So,
So I recently started teaching burlesque classes like uh for beginners, like for anybody that's wanting to get into burlesque has never done it before.
hmm,
And I had been asked to do this for a while, but I just recently finally started doing it because I wanted to be very intentional about the way that I was teaching. And uh, the it's a 6 week series that I do, and one
nice.
week focuses on act building. And, I talk about like I call it the building blocks because, when you have building blocks, you can start with this block first, or you can start with this block first, but it doesn't matter which order you do it in, as long as like these are the essentials, right? And I talk about music because all of them are important
Mhm,
and they all have to work together to make the foundation of your act,
mhm,
to make the experience, like all encompassing. And, like you said, it's like there is, it has to, it can be, a cheeky contradictory, but it has to make sense.
mhm,
And it can't be just a song you like, it has to make sense. And like something that I bring up because it's something that I notice a lot when I go watch other performers is the lip syncing thing. Because I understand that, yeah, you like the song and you rehearse with it a lot. The lip syncing needs to be intentional
Are you the
rather than
narrator of this song? Because
mm,
if you're not the narrator of this song, why are you moving your mouth?
hmm hmm There are very, and maybe this is something that, you know, I've brought over again from my dance training where
Mm,
we don't lip sync unless, again, it is very intentional. And like I do very little lip syncing in my acts, but the ones that I do, it
purpose.
is purposeful. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, like there is a lot to really go back to the foundations of as far as stuff like that, like music and costuming and movement, even like how much I do a whole class on taking up space because I think the idea of just changing the way that like you're angled changes the narrative
Mm-hmm.
of a certain movement
Mm-hmm.
or even the way that like you're looking, like your head is tilted down, but your eyes are looking up, like that changes what you're saying again with our nonverbal storytelling. So I do a whole
Mm-hmm.
class on that, and it can really change your perspective on how you approach movement and how you're, again, telling your message, your story
Mm-hmm.
with your act. So,
Well, it's really getting into the characterization of what the moment before is as well, of what that character's accomplishing during that act, who that fully formed being is. And sometimes, and this happens a lot with nerdlesque, it requires some foresight into which version, where in the story that character is.
mhm,
Because if that character is going to have an arc in that act, where are we going with that? So someone like, let's say, Queerly Fantastic, who has a really fabulous Harley Quinn, her act is being after being dumped. You need
mm,
to know that, even if
mhm,
you haven't seen Birds of Prey, to
mhm,
get why she chose Bye Bye Boyfriend by Fifi Dobson and why her reaction is that way.
mhm.
Otherwise, you're going to be like, but that's I thought Harley Quinn was something else. I'm like, but there's this version of it too.
Right,
And the fans will live for it. And the newcomers will probably live for it too because it's well done. It still
right.
makes sense. And even if you don't know Harley as the Margot Robbie character version, you're getting a story
Yes,
in its full form. So
yes.
that is, I think, is important to carry. And even if that's just like, oh, I'm a seductress who's gonna fuck you down. There's a, but why are you gonna fuck me down? And are
Right.
you actually confident in being able to fuck anyone down? I've seen my share of dominatrix acts where no, that person's not going to fuck anyone down. Bless them.
Oh,
Bless them.
oh,
Bless
oh.
them and their Spencer Gifts whip. But, you know,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
sometimes it's not in all of us. It's not
Right.
Halloween. It's not Halloween. It's not a costume party. It's
No,
theater. So if
right.
you're not going to take on, and sometimes that's fun too, because you can deconstruct that and play with that too. Fun, 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 fun.
Hmm.
Let's enjoy
Hmm.
ourselves. Sure.
Hmm.
But if you're going to come in with purpose,
Right.
you got to come in with purpose. And
Right.
I've also seen funny acts where that person thought they were being dom, but the joke was that they weren't.
That that's the
That
joke. That's the
and that
gag.
requires so much work.
I
That
was gonna say that's
requires
almost harder.
so much work. Yes. The hardest I've ever seen is, I think, one of the hardest things to behave, how to act on stage is act bored. To act like a bored showgirl on stage requires some of the most precise choices because otherwise you just look bad.
Oh my gosh. But that's so funny that you say that. I've joked about doing an act where I was like a producer act where I just
Mm.
come on stage like in my robe and with my laptop and like I'm like doing my spreadsheets or something and I've talked about doing it too. She works hard for the money.
Mm. Are you distracted by you have to keep working, but you also have to strip, but you also have
Yes.
admin work to do? I love
Either that or I've talked about having people take off the clothes for me because like I'm like on the
it.
phone and I'm like,
Executive. Ooh, I love it. I love
yeah.
it. I love it.
Yeah.
Um,
Uh,
that's fun. Yeah, I think that I really do believe that it is a theatrical, it is an acting element. And while club stripping certainly, just to tie it back to that discussion that you were having with yourself, evidently,
right.
like talking to a wall, uh, is that there is more flexibility. So let's take it. Let's use it. Since we
Hmm.
have that ability to play with the audience and we have the time to convince them and we have the ability to take them on a journey that they're not necessarily expecting. Take advantage of that.
Hmm.
because there are other folks out there who don't have that ability because there are certain roles that are expected for them to make the coin that they need to make.
Hmm.
And not to say that they don't enjoy it, not to say they're not excellent at it, not to say they're not excellent at improv, but there are certain parameters that we
Hmm.
get to play with. Let's play with them.
Right.
Play
Right.
with them.
Yeah.
And we don't get to
Absolutely.
do that as, a graffiti artist has to work with a very different mindset than someone who paints houses. Like
Right.
it's might as well work with that then use that, then
Yeah.
use it, then use it.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
Well, it's a pleasure to just barely scratch the surface with you. I love chatting with you
Oh my
about.
gosh. I could keep going on and on.
I know, but you know what? What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna save you up for some of this for the music that made we, because I want you to think of 10 songs that relate to the story of Baby Demure. I want you to
Ooh.
come up with 10 songs for your soundtrack, and then we're gonna talk about them. That's what I would
Ah,
love you to do. So think on
stop.
that. Cook on that. Cook on
I've
that.
been told that like I make the best playlists. So
Oh, there you go.
bet I'm
But all these have to have stories that relate to where they fit in your life. So think
okay.
about it.
Okay.
Cook on it. I'll leave it at that. I don't like to overanalyze the assignment. I'm always very
Sure.
fascinated with how people take the assignment.
Sure,
But
sure,
if you're
sure.
curious, a bunch of them are online. You can listen to music that made me
Yeah.
over 70 episodes. Thank you very much. Um, Before I let you go, and I thank you for
Hmm.
being so gracious with your time, have you always been Bebe Demure?
Yes.
Where does the name come from?
So I very simply thought, I was like, where do I start with? My normie name begins with a B, so I was like,
Okay.
I'll start there. And I was thinking of something like cheeky because I've always been told that I have a baby face, that I look younger than I
Mm.
actually am. And so I was
Yeah,
like,
I would
oh,
not
okay.
presume to guess. I have absolutely no idea.
I'm 32.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah. So I was like, okay, baby face, like baby.
Uh,
There you go. And then I one compliment or piece of feedback that I've always gotten throughout my dance career was that I like my energy always takes up a stage, and then when I go and talk with audience members, they're always surprised at how small statured I am,
let me see.
and because I just exude that
Mm.
much energy, and yeah, they're just like, oh, you're shorter than I thought you were. And I'm like, this is how tall I am, or how short I am. So I kind of wanted to do a play on that where I am not demure.
Mm.
My performance quality is not demure.
Mm.
So I'm not what you expect. And that is also a play on the expectation of me as an Asian American woman, the model
Mm.
minority thing, how I'm expected to be quiet
Mm-hmm.
and submissive.
Mm-hmm. Interesting.
So, and the baby also plays into that. So my name really is opposite to what you would expect from me as a performer
Yes.
and my personality and who I am on stage and talking to me. But yeah, I think that is again what is also indicative of my performance quality. There's a twist, there's a surprise, and you just never know what to expect. I keep you on your toes while I'm on my toes sometimes, but
Oh, good call. Good call.
yeah.
We love a contradiction.
Yes.
Um, so cook on those 10 before we say goodnight. And again, I thank you. Tell the folks they can keep in touch with all the things you have going on.
Yeah, I'm all about branding. I made it easy for everyone at Bebe Demure on all the platforms. Bebedemure.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Is there one that you find a little bit easier on your usage?
Instagram.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's all the devil, but yeah,
I
Instagram's
know. And
I know.
we were just talking about it earlier, but
Yeah.
that's where I'm at.
I have like 7 accounts. I'm not judging.
Oh yeah, no.
It's part of the belly of the beast.
Find me there.
Yes.
Yeah. Let's connect. Let's talk.
Remember, when you see something, heart it, even if you
Yeah.
don't watch the whole thing.
That's what I'm saying.
Well, thank you so much. Be well,
Thank you,
thrive,
Victor. This was amazing,
and
as always.
yes. And thank you
Love
again
it.
for your contributions to the WEView. I believe in not only that children are our future, but that we are sort of commanders of our own personage as entertainers. Like no one's going to know what burlesque is unless we tell them.
Absolutely.
And from your perspectives, as part of especially something as unprecedented as FilAm Takeover, which
Hmm.
the fact that we have 16 Filipino burlesque performers talking, uh, spectacular,
It
and much love
was
to Curly for that.
amazing. Yeah, and it's been, I've gotten a lot of, uh messages about it and like,
Great.
yeah, so
Great, great,
yeah.
great. Yeah, folks, also keep in mind that if you follow this pod and you like me talking to these folks, go follow them. Go like them too. Go see what their stuff is. I mean, we're international really, so it's hard to keep up with everybody, but let's use the technology that we have if we can
Yeah.
until they take it away from us.
Right.
Well, darling, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Mwah. My pleasure.
Mwah. Bye-bye.
WEBurlesque the podcast, created, developed, and edited by Viktor Devonne. Podcast artwork by Logan Laveau. WEBurlesque the podcast cover art photography by Atticus Stevenson. Theme song, On a 45 by This Way to the Egress, used with permission. All incidental music via Pixabay under the expectation of fair use. Please visit WeBurlesquePodcast.com for notes on this and every other episode. Follow WeBurlesque and Viktor Devonne on just about every platform, and support the podcast via patreon.com/WeBurlesque. Don't got the cash? Please follow, subscribe, and give 5 stars on every platform you can get your hands on. It really does help. All original material is owned by Viktor Devonne and White Elephant Burlesque Corporation. All other materials property of their respective copyright. No infringement, while likely, is intended. This episode and all episodes thereafter are in memory of Lucky Charming. Miss you, friend. And that's it.
Woohoo!